Hello, everybody. Today we are going to talk about the Bigwood Sporting Goods paddle that they sent us. So they sent us this bad boy, who I'm nicknaming the Woodchuck, because a woodchuck could chuck if the woodchuck could chuck wood. Oh yeah. Anyways, this thing is actually pretty awesome for a wood paddle. First off, look at that fine leather edge guard. Look at that. Says Bigwood right there. That fine wood butt cap. They had this awesome thin undergrip. I have a Turna Megatac overgrip on top of this right now, just because I personally always like to play with an overgrip. I do like my handles thin though, and I do appreciate this is actually a great handle, by the way, in all seriousness. Big enough for two-handed backhands, all that. And we have the Bigwood, which is in their elongated shape, which is actually a fairly wide shape as well, I've come to notice. And yeah, so just wanted to give a good shot of the paddle here. Anyways, I want to start this review a little differently by reading the letter that Bigwood sent me personally, because I think this is incredible. Um, I've been reviewing paddles now for about a year, along with my business partner, Jimmy Pickles, as you guys may know him. And I've never been sent a letter like this from a paddle company before. This is a first for me. So I wanted to read it since it was addressed to me personally and go from there. So that's how we're going to do this. So, hi, Dawson. Thanks for your interest in our paddles. We are excited for you to get to try one out and hear what you think. I know you have played with a lot of paddles, and I can confidently say that ours is something completely different. What sets us apart is our wooden honeycomb core. The design and natural properties of wood give our original paddle a unique touch, pop, power, and spin. I set out to design a paddle that was better for the planet, but knew that players would only want it if it was also better for your game. I strongly believe that our paddle is both, and I think that after playing with it for a bit, you will agree. Please reach out with any questions or feedback. Sincerely, Forrest Hughes, founder, Bigwood Sporting Goods. So, I actually, the only reason to give context to this review, the only reason we're even doing this review to begin with is because I posted on the Instagram, on our Instagram. If you don't follow us yet, by the way, at DDOG_pickleball on Instagram, check it out. I posted on one of our stories about, some new potential paddles that we could review. And one of the feedback comments was Bigwood. So we then tagged them in the story and they hit us up. They said, hey, let's do it. And then exchanged a couple messages and here we are now. So unfortunately, guys, I do not have an affiliate code for Bigwood right now. If I get one, I will post it in the comments. But honestly, let's dive into the review. So now that we have the context, so I have been playing with this for the past 2 to 3 weeks on and off, mixing it in with non-wooden paddles as well. For context, my current main and paddle of choice is the Pickleball Apes Pulse S. This is a Gen 3 all-court paddle that's leaning power, and I would say is one of the top line paddles in pickleball currently as of November 2024. This is the Bigwood, which is smooth to the touch because it's wood. um, Anyways, let's dive into this. So I compared this to several paddles, the Pulse S being one of them. For the Gen 3 paddles, I compared this to the Rhombus Ripple. I compared this to the Monarch All Court. I compared it to the Valair Mach 2 Forza. And I compared it to the Monarch Control 14 millimeter. So all of that comparing, I mainly was looking for a couple things. I was looking to see if there was spin difference, if there was power difference, and if there was pop difference, and then just the overall feel and stability of the paddle. I will say, this is a really stable paddle, guys. All right. This thing really gives you a lot of stability when you're dinking and when you're driving, in particular aerial drives and, counters, being able to, plow and pop the ball really well. I think the power and the pop on this thing are here. I would put it as like Gen 2-ish, you know, power to pop. I wouldn't say it's like, the Gen 1 Paddletex level hot. I wouldn't say it's Gen 3 hot. I would put it as like a like I don't know, maybe a little more than like a bread and butter filth, a Vatic V7, the orange one. You know, maybe kind of similar to something like something like a J2K in terms of, it's more all court lean and control. I think in terms of power, that's the Bigwood. I mean, guys, it's a wood paddle. Like, this is probably the best wood paddle out right now, but it is still a wood paddle. Like, you're not going to get Gen 3 power from this thing, but it's perfectly serviceable. And that's what just blew my mind throughout playing with this paddle. It's funny when I started playing with it, I would like, jokingly in my mind, I'd be like, oh, this is the game, I got to play wood paddle with. So this is going to be interesting. And we would do perfectly fine. In a lot of these rec games that I'll post throughout the video, I'll post portions of rec and the drilling I did with the paddle. And, it wasn't all that different aside from just the shape being a little more elongated than the hybrid shape that I currently predominantly play with, or the wide body shapes that I play with. And so, with that being said, I think the one area that you really lose with this thing being wood versus it not being like a carbon fiber or a polyaramid or a Kevlar or a titanium polyester thread, is you're losing spin. This paddle just it doesn't really have a lot of spin. Anyways, it does have some spin. I don't want you guys just thinking it's got nothing. If I had to guess, it's probably between, 1600 and 1700 RPMs. I would just suggest any regular carbon fiber, Kevlar, weave combination, or any of the current, facing materials that we're using to help produce spin, along with the, you know, friction, core, grit, and, stuff like the new stuff that's coming on the Ripple to produce spin. I think all those things are great things that contribute to spin. And unfortunately, with a wood surface, I think you're limited on that front. With that being said, this is hands down the best wood paddle I have ever played. Now, a big question I feel like people might be asking themselves is, who is this for? What, what, why would a company do this? So I think this is cool. I think Bigwood stands out as a unique company in that there's no other company in pickleball, to my knowledge, it's only making wood paddles solely and no other type of paddles. I think that because Bigwood's doing this, there are certain tournaments out there right now. I forget they have like a nickname to them, but they are wood only paddle tournaments. And look, this thing blows the old, Monarch wood paddles that you got at Walmart or Dick's Sporting Goods for, 20 to 40 bucks in like a starter pickleball kit with four of them and, you know, the world's oldest, crummiest pickleball and like a $2 cheap net. You know, this thing is actually a very legitimate paddle in terms of that compared to those. And, you know, you're going to get some serious oomph and firepower from this thing, is what you're going to get. I would say this thing is definitely leaning Gen 2 power and is a fun paddle to hit on that front. I do feel like I could play with this paddle in like a serious match and I'd be okay. Like, I don't think it would be the paddle's fault if I lost, but I do think that that lack of spin and grippiness on the ball that you're going to get, again, I'll use the Pulse S as an example, from something like the Pulse S or something just with the Kevlar or carbon fiber or comboed face is just a lot more than you're going to get from the smooth Bigwood paddle. And so because of that, I would not recommend the paddle for spin. However, I would recommend the paddle in general to anyone that wants a fun wood paddle. Bigwood's a small company. Um, I think this is a great initiative from them. They're putting themselves out there. I think another cool thing too is I know that Pickleball Will got sent one where, his face was engraved on it. I think that's something cool you could do with these too, for, charity events, maybe some work events, stuff like that. You get some engravings on them. I also just think it's a really pleasing paddle to look at. Like, just look at it. Just take a moment to look at it. Like, it's a really pleasing to look at paddle compared to the boring black face and, you know, white grip that every paddle in the world has basically right now. So, yeah, I liked the Bigwood personally. I won't be maining it personally anytime soon, but I think there's a lot of innovation made in wood paddles, and who knows? With all the rules and sanctions, UPA and USAP are about to hit us with coming into 2025 here. Who knows? We could be going back to wood paddles, and you need a bomb wood paddle, and this could be your thing. So, anyways, I just wanted to share that. Again, I super want to thank Bigwood. They did not have to do this. Again, like, this was super awesome of them to do. We appreciate it. It allows us to make videos like these, and I think it's a super cool paddle. I'm going to keep mixing it in every now and then when doing some comparisons and stuff and seeing, how it plays compared to some stuff, some current stuff and some upcoming stuff. Anyways, this is probably one of my longer reviews, so if you stuck around for the full thing, leave a comment in the section below.